Most people think school is a safe place, a place where nothing bad can happen. But some schools don't close when the doors lock, and some stories were never meant to be forgotten. Tonight, you're listening to Mr. Horror Man. If you love your family and you want them to always be safe, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and press the bell icon button. We're here every night telling the stories others are too afraid to share. Snow wasn't supposed to fall that day. That's what everyone kept saying. The forecast had mentioned light flurries, maybe enough to dust the football field and cancel after-school practice. Nothing serious, nothing dangerous. By lunchtime, though, the sky had turned the color of old bruises, and the wind pressed against the school windows like it was trying to get inside. Blackridge High sat at the edge of town, backed up against a stretch of forest no one really talked about. In winter, the trees looked like a wall of black veins against the white sky. By the end of 7th period, those trees were barely visible through the snow. That was when the announcements came over the intercom. Attention students and staff. Due to worsening weather conditions, all buses have been canceled. Parents are advised to pick up students immediately. Anyone unable to leave should report to the main gym. The intercom clicked off. The room erupted into noise. Phones came out. Teachers started panicking quietly. Someone cheered, thinking it meant an early break. But I just sat there, staring out the window as the snow fell harder, thicker, heavier, like the sky was dumping everything it had left. My name was Evan, and by the time the last bell rang, my phone had no signal. My mom worked nights at the hospital, and my dad was out of town. That meant no ride, no quick escape. By the time I made it to the gym, most students were already gone. A few dozen sat on the bleachers, bundled in coats, scrolling endlessly, waiting for parents who were stuck on roads that were quickly becoming impassable. Snow hammered against the high gym windows. The wind howled like something alive. A teacher I barely recognized, Mr. Talbot, I think, stood near the doors, checking names off a clipboard. "Anyone still here after 5, he said, will be escorted to the front office." That didn't sound comforting. By 5:30, the number of students had dropped to 6. By 5, it was just me. Mr. Talbot frowned at the clipboard. "Your parents?" "Not answering," I said. He sighed. "All right, protocol says I stay until someone comes." He tried calling the office. No answer. He tried his phone. No signal. The lights flickered. Just once, but it was enough to make both of us look up. "I'm going to check the front entrance," he said. "Stay here." I watched him disappear into the hallway. That was the last time I saw him. At first, I thought he'd just gone to the bathroom or gotten stuck talking to another teacher. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I stepped out of the gym. The hallway was dimmer than usual, lit only by every other fluorescent panel. The sound of the storm was louder here, the wind screaming through cracks I hadn't noticed before. "Mr. Talbot?" I called. My voice echoed too long. That's when I noticed the doors. Every classroom door along the hall was shut, locked. I tried the nearest one. Nothing. The front entrance was visible at the end of the corridor, but instead of glass doors and daylight, there was only white. Snow had completely buried the entrance. Not drifted, buried. The glass was opaque with ice and snow packed so tightly it looked like the school had been swallowed whole. Behind me, the gym doors slammed shut. I jumped. I ran back. They wouldn't open. That's when the announcement system crackled to life. "All remaining occupants, please remain calm." The voice wasn't the principal's. It wasn't anyone I recognized. "The school is now in lockdown." The speakers clicked off. The lights went out. Emergency lights kicked in, dim, red, and wrong. I stood there, breathing too hard, listening to the storm claw at the building. Then I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. somewhere above me. I froze. "Hello?" I called, hating how small my voice sounded. The footsteps stopped, then resumed, closer this time. I backed into the wall, my breath fogging in the cold air. The heating system had shut off. The school was already losing warmth. "Mr. Talbot?" I tried again. No answer. Just footsteps. I did what any terrified idiot would do. I ran. I ducked into a classroom and locked the door behind me, shoving a desk against it for good measure. The room smelled like old books and chalk dust. Snowlight filtered weakly through the windows. I sat there, knees pulled to my chest, listening. Nothing. Minutes passed. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe the storm was messing with my head. Then the chalkboard scraped. I looked up. A message was appearing, slowly, as if written by an invisible hand. "Stay warm." The chalk dropped to the floor. I didn't scream. I couldn't, because behind me, the radiator hissed, then went silent. The temperature dropped sharply, my breath turning to thick white clouds. Something was wrong with the cold. It felt intentional. I didn't stay in that classroom. I grabbed a chair and smashed the window, letting freezing air and snow blast inside. I climbed out onto the ledge and dropped into knee-deep snow. The courtyard was unrecognizable. Snow buried benches, paths, even the statue in the center. The storm swallowed sound, making everything feel distant and unreal. That's when I saw the footprints. They came from the tree line. They stopped in the middle of the courtyard, and then they turned around, leading back toward the building. I followed them. I don't know why. Curiosity, fear, some instinct I didn't understand. The footprints led to a side door. Unlocked. Inside, the air was colder than outside. That shouldn't have been possible. The footprints led me down a narrow stairwell into the basement. I didn't even know the school had one. The door at the bottom read, "Records, Archives." Inside were filing cabinets and old boxes stacked to the ceiling. One cabinet was open. Inside were student files. Dozens of them, all labeled weather incidents. Blizzards, ice storms, snow days. Each file had a photo. Each photo showed a student. Each student was listed as missing. The most recent file sat on top, dated today, with my name on it. Behind me, something exhaled. It didn't look human, not completely. It was tall, too tall, its limbs long and bent wrong, like it learned to walk by watching people do it badly. Its skin looked like frostbitten flesh stretched too tight, cracked with lines of ice. Its face, there was no face, just a smooth surface with shallow impressions where eyes and a mouth should be. When it moved, the temperature dropped. The windows frosted instantly. It reached toward me. I ran. I don't remember how I made it back upstairs. Doors slammed, lights shattered. The school screamed with metal and glass and wind. I burst into the main hallway just as the storm outside reached its peak. Then the bell rang. Not the normal school bell. This one was deep, old, heavy. The creature stopped. It turned its head, if you could call it that, toward the sound. The front office door was open. Inside, an old brass bell sat on the desk. A plaque beneath it read, "Emergency Winter Protocol. Ring only if last student." I didn't think. I rang it. The sound echoed through the school, through the walls, through the storm. The creature screamed. The lights exploded, and everything went white. I woke up in a hospital bed. They said the storm had passed overnight, that the school had been evacuated earlier than expected, that I'd been found unconscious near the entrance. No one remembered Mr. Talbot. No one could explain the files. The basement doesn't exist, they said. But sometimes when it snows, I swear I see footprints in my backyard, leading from the trees, stopping just outside my window. If you're listening to this and you're still in school, listen carefully. If the snow starts falling harder than it should, if the exits disappear, if the cold feels like it's watching you, do not stay behind, because winter doesn't come alone. If you enjoyed this winter horror story, make sure to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe to Mr. Horror Man for more true-style horror stories, school horrors, and winter nightmares every week. And comment below, have you ever been trapped somewhere during a storm? I read every comment. Until next time, stay warm.